In 2026, what are we prayerfully looking forward to around the Praetorian Project? That's what I want to talk about in this video. My name is Brian O'Day. I serve as one of the pastors here in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I also serve as executive director of the Praetorian Project. So as we look ahead to 2026, just kind of like overview of where our churches are. We are 16 churches spread all over the U.S. and also one in Okinawa, Japan. And I want to talk about just like a couple of anniversaries that we're anticipating this year. In this year, we're going to have two churches celebrate their 1-year anniversary as a church. So that's Pillar Church of Fayetteville in North Carolina and Pillar Church of Killeen in Texas. And we don't want to like overlook the challenges that it takes to start a new congregation, to start a new church. And those churches, Lord willing, are going to celebrate their first anniversary this year in 2026. And so we're just excited for that. We're looking forward to that. This is part of us seeking to establish a foothold in the United States Army and really in the rest of the U.S. military branches. And so we look forward to that. We look forward to celebrating those anniversaries this year. We're also going to celebrate a 5-year anniversary this year. Pillar Church of Stafford in Virginia, outside of Marine Corps Base Quantico, they, Lord willing, will celebrate their 5-year anniversary as a church. And if you've paid attention to church planting much, you know that there is a failure rate in church planting. Not every church that gets started makes it to its 5-year anniversary. And so we are excited for that. That church is doing well on the south side of Marine Corps Base Quantico. And so they're going to celebrate 5 years this year. Also this year, we're going to have a 10-year celebration. Pillar Church of Okinawa, Japan is going to celebrate their 10-year anniversary. I just got to be honest with you, when we started this idea of the Praetorian Project, getting a church to Okinawa, Japan sounded like it was going to take forever. It was going to be 10 years, 20 years, whatever it was. We had no clue. We didn't really know what we were doing. So even just to like start a church in Okinawa is a big deal. And now to see them celebrate 10 years as a church is just going to be really exciting to see. They're one of the older churches in the Praetorian Project, and so we're so excited to see that. So those are just kind of like some of the big anniversaries we're going to have. We're also looking forward to a new church plant. This has been one that has been in the works for quite some time, where we have been actively praying, and many of you have been actively praying with us for a new church that is focused on reaching the military community in Northwest Washington. So outside of Joint Base Lewis McChord up there. Lord willing, Daniel and Rochelle Carter are going to move from San Diego, California up to Northwest Washington State later this year. In the initial attempts and the initial efforts and the initial work to plant a church in Northwest Washington. That's part of the Praetorian Project, so we are looking forward to that. This is part of our bigger initiative that we've been doing for several years now, and that is to plant a multiplying churches in some really significant hubs of active duty military and veterans. And so that's Central Texas. Pillar San Antonio is there, it's doing well, and they have multiplied up in Killeen, Texas, which we just talked about. Norfolk, Virginia, that church is doing well. They have been planted in Norfolk, Virginia, and they are looking towards what does multiplication look like for them in the years to come. And then, of course, Northwest Washington, I just talked about. So this is us seeking to establish a foothold in these additional military branches, because we started really focused on the United States Marine Corps, and now we're expanding into the rest of the major U.S. military branches. And so that's kind of the landscape for our churches. A big aspect of what we do as well is we try to take these folks, all these pastors and the families of these pastors, and bring us together a few times a year so that we can strategize together, so that we can encourage one another in this difficult work, so that we can spur one another on to love and good works as we see in the scriptures, and so that we can have this relationship as we pass members back and forth between our churches, that we can have consistency, we can have relationship, we can do those pastoral handoffs. And so we actually already have seen our pastors' wives gather together. We had 17 of our pastors' wives, or Lord willing, a few future pastors' wives, who were able to gather together outside of Washington, D.C. for just a couple days together for those purposes of building relationships and encouraging one another. Later in June, we're going to gather our pastors and their families in Maryland, and we're going to do that in June. And so this is a great time. This is where all of our churches come together at the pastoral level and the families of our pastors. We also welcome in those who we believe will be future pastors in our project. And we want to bring them into the greater family. We want to bring them in and help them see the vision for what's happening. So often we're just kind of in the difficulties and the challenges of our local churches. And so this is an opportunity to kind of look out and see the bigger picture of what God is doing among us. And so that will be in June. And then in the fall, we will gather our pastors together for our annual meeting. And this is a time that we're able to do all those things that I mentioned, but also where decisions are able to be made for the future project, for the future of what we believe God is calling us to do. In the midst of all that, other things that are happening, one big one that I'm really passionate about is our churches are committed to expository preaching. Our churches are committed that when the preacher walks up to the platform and is about to preach, what he does is he opens up God's Word and he reads God's Word, and then he explains what it means and how it is meant, how God means to use that to transform the lives of the people. And so we want to preach God's Word with God's heart. And so we actually work with an organization called Word Partners, and we have these cohorts, these groups, where we pastors are training one another, and we connect with other pastors who are doing so, and some of the trainers from Word Partners. And we work together to learn two things. One, we learn how to do expository preaching, how to open up God's Word and to understand it, and then to preach it with God's heart to the people. But then we also learn how to train other preachers. And so as we plant churches, and as we plant churches that are going to have expository preaching, we need to be raising up more and more expositors. And so we're going to see that continued this year. So we have a group that is up and running in San Antonio, Texas, with 3 of our churches, really 4 of our churches participating in that. We have a group in Southern California with 3 of our churches participating in that. And then we are looking at and exploring with an introductory group in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and several of our churches will have the opportunity to drive to Fayetteville to be a part of that one. And so be praying for all of these things as we look to train our pastors, we look to encourage our folks. We look to do so even at the family level with the wives and with our children. So would you be praying with us for these initiatives? Would you be praying with us throughout 2026? Maybe there's a day of the week, or maybe there's one day a month that you set aside to intentionally pray for the Praetorian Project and some of these initiatives. I'm sure you're seeing this because you're signed up for our monthly email newsletter. When you get that newsletter, that's a good opportunity to see what is going on, and that will inform your prayers. Thank you so much for staying tuned to what we're up to. Thank you so much for your prayers. Thank you for our financial partners that fuel this work with God's resources to take the gospel to the nations in and through the military. I love you guys.